My people, the enemy of an African, it is another African, and we are going to demonstrate that for you in this video. Do you guys still remember this general and what he had said in the US Senate concerning Captain Ibrahim Traore?
In Burkina Faso, as they know that both, whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime.
Well, this man seems not to be getting tired because he's in a very big mission in Africa continent, whereby he's even busy recruiting other head of the state in Africa continent so that they can work together in order for them to destroy Captain Ibrahim Traore. As we are talking right now, this man is in Kenya and he was welcomed by President William RUTO, who had to welcome him and shake hands with him, knowing very well the mission of this man in Africa continent. After that, he spoke again, not to correct what he had said in the US Senate, but he spoke again some nonsense to what Captain Ibrahim Traore and people of Burkina Faso.
General, let's talk about countries taking on their own autonomy. You are on African soil, not for the first time, but this would be a good moment to ask about one of the countries that has taken its own autonomy, and that's Burkina Faso. Your remarks recently at the Senate seem to suggest that he's diverting, General Traore, is diverting its 4 billion gold reserves to sustain his military rule rather than for public welfare. These remarks sparked widespread condemnation across the continent. What did you mean by that statement?
Let me speak to Burkina Faso's sovereignty. They maintain their sovereignty. They make their decisions how they use their resources. They make their decisions who their resources go to for military support. That's their sovereign right. But my cautionary tale was just from a military perspective. That was a Senate Armed Services Committee asking me a direct question. Burkina Faso, a lot of great things going on to progress them forward, okay? But then when you look at the military part of it, knowing that that's the epicenter of global terrorism, it was my time to illuminate that this is probably their weakest point, and there needs to be sufficient resources going towards for the whole fight of terrorism in that country, period. They make their decisions though. That's their sovereignty, their sovereign right to make their decisions, what is appropriate, what's not. But I wanted to illuminate that is going in the wrong direction now. ISIS is getting stronger. JNIM is getting stronger. Al-Qaeda in the lands of the Maghreb is getting stronger in that country.
And do you think it's getting stronger after General Traore took over?
It has. Just look at the numbers of attacks. It really has, since 2022. I've been tracking this since I took command. So, no ill will towards him, but the decisions is their own. They're looking for other ways to be able to, they're still on warfighting footing, but it's just going to take more resources.
Hold on for a second. Guys, let us be honest here. First of all, talking about the ICC. Who bring this ICC in Africa continent? Who bring this terrorist movement in Africa continent? Do you think that ICC was going to be existing if the US and Europe, they had killed Muammar Gaddafi? If they did not kill Muammar Gaddafi, do you think this movement was going to exist in Africa continent? That's just a question we're leaving to you. Because it kind of like a standing on his statement on what he had said concerning Burkina Faso and Burkina Faso leadership.
So you stand by that statement? Because there's been pressure on you to walk those statements back.
That's my statement. That's my assessment. That is getting worse. More needs to be done for not just local, but whole of country because of these violent extremist organizations are seeking revenue, they're seeking resources, they're seeking recruiting from the Burkinabe people, and they're seeking refuge within their country. That threatens their sovereignty.
And that threatens America's interest?
Say again?
Does that then threaten America's interests?
Yes, thank you for asking that.
Bro, stop lying, because we all know the interest of the United States of America in Africa continent. Yes, we all know what these men have said to the US Senate concerning Africa when they had to ask him a question, what is the US benefiting from all this? Why the US need to be in Africa continent? We still all remember what these men had to say concerning the presence of the US in Africa continent.
General Langley, can you talk about why we care about what's happening in Africa right now? I mean, if you tell the American taxpayer, why are we there? Why are we spending the money we're spending there?
Thanks for the question, Senator. For access and influence. I'd say that a number of countries are at the tipping point of actually being captured by the Russian Federation, as they are spreading some of their false narratives across Libya. And from a strategic answer piece, access influence across the whole Maghreb.
So it is more clear that the interest of the United States of America in Africa continent, it is not this so-called ICC as they trying to paint it out there for everyone to say that no, we're in Africa to fight this terrorist movement. No, but they're in Africa for two only reasons: the influence and to protect their interest. Former President Thabo Mbeki also clarified and said that the USA, they can do anything in their power in order for them to protect their own interests.
You see, when President Trump spoke America first, they take a particular position. What is in the interest of the United States? That is the only principle that guides us in our foreign international relations. Nothing to do with multilateral or nothing like that. What is in the interest of the United States? Which will be decided exclusively by the United States. And if the United States decides that tomorrow that Thabo Mbeki must die in the national interest, they will act on it. Make America great means we will pursue American interest and use whatever power we have, whether it's financial or military or whatever, to ensure that the American interest is served.
This is the real truth, and this is the real threat which everyone knew about, and not what this man is telling us that no, the real threat here, it is the ICC. Again, is still lying, because the truth here is that the real threat to the US interest, it is Captain Ibrahim Traore, the man who came and chased them out from his country, the man who came and said no where no one had never said no before, the man who came and said that from now on, the Burkina Faso mineral resources, it will be controlled by Burkinabés themselves, and that the one will have to sell it to the countries of their choices. That is the big threat. And we all know how this kind of people, they usually being treated by the USA. So he must not come and tell us otherwise, because we all know that they are not feeling comfortable for the fact that Captain Ibrahim Traore 10 bags of Burkinabés on the USA. He said to them, I don't care. You can forsake with your US foreign policies. And that is a very big problem for these people, because they are not feeling comfortable about it. You know, if you want to provoke the USA, go and touch their foreign policies. And that's what is making them getting angry, because they kind of like even thinking to end up destroying Captain Ibrahim Traore as they did with Muammar Gaddafi.
And what would America, perhaps AFRICOM, be prepared to do? Would you be considering an ouster like we saw with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya? Because there's still many Africans who are yet to recover from that. If this is a bigger threat, as you say, in Burkina Faso, what is AFRICOM prepared to do about it?
We do indications and warnings. There's a number of activities that we do, and we'll just go ahead and mention building institutional capacity. There's not going to be U.S. boots on the ground. Very, very small for exchange of ideas and training, exercises. Over time, that builds institutional capacity and capability in these armories. There, AFRICOM, we are working towards a burden sharing and a burden shift for their independent operations. That's our goal. We have the shared objectives because these same terrorist groups can threaten our homeland. So we're in concert. I was just in African Lion over in Morocco. A number of countries working together to be able to
Is Burkina
address.
Faso invited here today for this conference?
Yes, yes. They were invited to African Lion in Morocco. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Like I said, we're moving forward.
Okay.
We're moving forward because we have that shared goal of defeating terrorism.
All right. Speaking of that, because the reaction out of the statements that you made about Burkina Faso were several African leaders feeling you are speaking on sovereignty issues that America shouldn't be.
I respond that there's others on the globe that do that. There's others on the globe that
Like
do that.
who?
Now, I'm going to even bring it up. We should have even already know, okay? But I'm going to even bring that up.
Okay.
We respect the sovereignty. We respect their decisions. We respect their decisions of who they choose as a security partner. And then we measure the common denominator that's keeping these countries across the Sahel from progressing forward. You know, in 2050, you know, the largest workforce on the globe is going to come out of the continent of Africa. The youth need hope. They need peace and stability so they can hit their potentials. That's a long-range goal of AFRICOM as we look to help these countries set those conditions for stability and security so prosperity can be presented to all the populations and the youth. Pan-Africanism is real and it's strong, and there's an opportunity to come up on the global stage, and this continent can do it.
But here's the thing. He's saying all this, he forgot one thing, that there's a difference between Muammar Gaddafi, Thomas Sankara, all these leaders, African leaders that the USA have destroyed or killed through poisons or through assassinations or through military coup. There's a difference between all these African leaders compared to Captain Ibrahim Traore. Because when he says all these things, he's forgetting that Captain Ibrahim Traore, he has become untouchable. And he knows very well that because of his nonsense that he had said in the US Senate, it had actually revolted the whole entire Africans all over around the world. We saw how Africans came out in their numbers in support of Captain Ibrahim Traore. And they give a last warning to the US that stay out or stay away from Captain Ibrahim Traore. That is one thing is forgetting. But why did even African get to that point? Because African understood very well that no, these people or this guy is talking nonsense, is trying to touch what we call our sovereignty as Africans. Because we all know that Captain Ibrahim Traore is here just to defend the sovereignty, not all of people of Burkina Faso, but the one of Africa continent. So that it's something which motivates each and every Pan-Africans out there to defend Captain Ibrahim Traore. And that's what Michael Langley is simply forgetting. That you can say whatever you want to say, but if something have to happen to Captain Ibrahim Traore, you will have to deal with Africans.
So you're not concerned about China and Russia expanding their military and economic influence across the continent?
We are concerned about it, yes.
What about it concerns you?
Well, you know, their influence. Their influence may not be looked upon as being a positive influence.
For who? For America or for Africa?
Well, for Africans, okay? And then, so Americans have that, have that in mind. That for the African people and across all countries be able to hit their maximum potential and independence and sovereignty and also freedoms by rules-based international order, being able to get on the global stage and take a leadership role and provide for the people in peace and stability. Some of those aims are not the same as the approach of those other countries on the global stage.
Another lie. Why? Because we know very well that these people, they are so concerned about the presence of Russia and China in Africa continent. We all know that this presence of these two nations, it kind of like putting them feel more comfortable. They are used to see other countries such as France, Belgium, Portugal, or these European countries, because these countries are their allies. So they don't mind having them or sharing the African peace cake with them, then sharing it with their big enemy, which is Russia and China. So seeing the presence of these countries in Africa continent, it kind of like bothering them. It kind of like putting them feel uncomfortable because they know that the influence of Russia and China in Africa, in countries such as Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and these other African nations, it will kind of like come and destroy every single relationship that the USA have with these African nations. Because remember, these other nations like China and Russia, when they come with a partnership which has mutual respect. We give you what you want, you give us also what we want. They don't come and impose things like the USA does, whereby they'll come and impose things to you. If you don't comply with what they're imposing on you, they start putting sanctions on you. You guys still remember what they did with Yoweri Museveni in Uganda after he had signed the bills of gay marriage? So this is what they've been doing. They will come and threaten you. They'll come and tell you this. And once you feel like that, you give up. And at the end of the day, they remain dominating over your policies. So that it's the naked truth and not what this man is telling us here.
China, Russia, their presence, because you say it doesn't align with the shared values?
Well, what we watch is the continent of Africa does not need to be militarized, let's put it that way. Does not need to be militarized. And so we watch, as far as security agreements and what does it mean? Is it really for the stability to fight the threats of a African country, or is it for them and their ability to establish a global hegemon of basis?
So according to him, he feels like African countries does not need to be militarized, which is true, by the way, because we are sovereign countries. We're supposed to be having our own armies. We're supposed to be having our own currency. We're supposed to be having our own things which we don't need to be getting it from France or Russia or China, which is true. But my question is, why is he raising up these things when it comes to other nations such as Russia and China, saying that no, African countries does not need to be militarized? Okay, but what is the USA military base doing in Africa? What is France military base doing in Africa? Why is it only allowed when it suits them and not for other nations?
How can you demand other countries? I will slap you in the face. Don't slap me back. Otherwise, I will punish you more. That's the law of the jungle. This is not belligerency. This is the minimum decency you need to apply to international relations.
If there is one thing that this man is supposed to be doing, supposed to be apologizing to Captain Ibrahim Traore and people of Africa continent for his false accusations or lies that he had go to the US Senate and said in behalf of Captain Ibrahim Traore. But since he seemed to forgetting all this, since he seemed to not remember of the kind of lies that he had said to Captain Ibrahim Traore, well, sometimes it's always good for you to be there so that you can be able to defend yourself. Recently, you guys saw Captain Ibrahim Traore in Russia when they had to ask him this question concerning the allegation of General Michael Langley. Captain Ibrahim Traore addressed that matters, and in response, he had to say this to him.
Because everything he said is a lie. It's very bad to see an adult lying, to see a general officer of a great army lying. It's very serious. First of all, he talked about the gold of Burkina, which is used to protect us. First of all, it's the gold of Burkina. It's not his gold. That's the first thing. What does it look like? It looks like nothing. It's Burkina. It's the gold of Burkina. It doesn't look like it. The second thing, he's lying. Because Burkina never had gold reserves. Until we arrived, it was us who started to reserve the gold in Burkina's treasury. Otherwise, there was not a single gram of gold reserve in Burkina. That means he's still a liar. The other thing, when he says that we use it to protect ourselves, we are free. If the people have decided that we govern, we have the duty to protect ourselves. So we are free. How does it look like? And the thing that hurts me the most, not because he's a general or because he's an American, it's because he's black. And it hurts to see that we use a black man to fight a black man, and it hasn't started yet. It has to stop. It's very dangerous. We know that it's in the movies, but why do black people continue to play a bad role? I think that if he heard this interview, he must look at himself in the mirror. Be ashamed. Come out and say that we made a false report. I regret it. He must say it publicly. If it's a false report, we did it. Because it's possible. It's possible that we made a false report.
The message was loud and clear. The message that this man is supposed to collect from Captain Ibrahim Traore interview and passed it to the entire world was loud and clear, and not what him is doing right now. But again, what can we say? He's a man who's being used by Americans, and they choose his color so that he can come and fight his own brothers. And that's what he's doing. Now, pity for me from all this is that regardless of whatsoever we all know so far concerning these matters, well, some African leaders, they are still opening their borders to welcome this man in with their open hands. Such kind of betrayal. And here I'm talking about President William RUTO of Kenya. He welcomed this man in the Kenyan palace of people. Even though people of Kenya, they stand together with Captain Ibrahim Traore, but their leader is welcoming this person, get to listen to him, what he have to say. And by the way, whatever I play for you in this video, that is what he spoke outside on the cameras. What about those ones that they spoke behind cameras with William RUTO? So guys, for me, I think from all this, we don't need to trust leaders such as William RUTO. Because this man, for me, it's been a long time. I don't believe in him anymore. Yeah, many even Pan-Africans, they have also feel so disappointed in him. Because whatsoever other Africans they are condemning out there is what William RUTO does. So we don't need this kind of leaders who comes and give you the impression like they are there as Pan-Africans, but at the same time, they are doing otherwise by saving the Western. William RUTO is not someone that we can trust. And I think Captain Ibrahim Traore must watch out for someone such as William RUTO. It can be used by the Western in order for them to reach him out. So any proposal that comes from William RUTO, Captain Ibrahim Traore, you should not listen to it. Guys, I believe that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you leave, like this video in your numbers, give us your thumbs up. We'll really do appreciate. Above all, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon in our next video. Ciao, ciao.